What I'm going to talk about today is training at home to gain home field advantage. And this training is not ideal. It's not perfect. It's not, people will say, well, yeah, but you're not firing live ammunition. Gee, I should hope not. My neighbors would be upset about that. Or, gee, you're not getting any recoil from the gun. Of course not. I'm not firing live ammunition, but that's not the point. And this type of training is not meant to replace live fire on the range. What it's meant to do is create a situation where you can learn about your own home, and you can learn what you could and couldn't do, what you can hide behind, what will stop around, what won't, how would you move through the yard in case you had to do it. Now, first and foremost, if you can deal with whatever the threat is by not leaving your house, that's better. If somebody's outside tearing up your stuff, all your stuff can be replaced. That's what insurance is for. And stay in the house, lock up the doors, and if they come into the house, then defend yourself and your family. But that's not always the way it goes. Sometimes a member of your family is outside, or your friend is outside, or your neighbor is outside, and you got to go out and help, which means you've got to step outside your door. And if you never think through this or never practice it, the minute you step outside, you're on foreign territory. So I do encourage you to practice this, because the way the world is going, the cops are probably not showing up to save you. The cavalry is not coming over the hill. They'll show up afterwards to, like the movies, draw the white line around your body. They don't really do that, by the way, but that's what they're going to show up to, is the aftermath. Well, you want to make sure you survive it, and you're standing on both feet, healthy, after the aftermath, okay? So what I've done here is I've just got some training tools. I'll get you a close-up shot up. I'm going to explain them briefly. I've got a target here. You've seen this setup before if you've watched my channel. I'm putting it here more for camera purposes. Obviously, you could move the targets anywhere, and you should. But there's a target back there, a guy with a gun. This is a hostage target. Maybe he's got a loved one of mine. And what you can't see unless I come over here and show you is there's also a target with a guy with a gun over here. And so you want to move the targets around so that as you come through the yard, you have corners that you have to work, you have different weird places you have to go. And this works really well when you do it at night. So let me give you some tools with which to do this stuff. First of all, you've seen the airsoft gun before. This is a relatively inexpensive but pretty good quality airsoft gun. This one is a Tokyo Marui High Kappa 45. I think as of the recording of this video, they run about 150 bucks, and you can get extra magazines for them. I have several, and then I just bought a cheapy holster for it until I can find a better one. I don't like Serpa type holsters anymore, because they get dirty and then they lock the gun in there, so I took that apart, and as a result, it'll fall right out of the holster, which is not ideal. So obviously I want to get a better holster for that. And then another handgun option is the SIRT pistol from Next Level Training. We use a lot of these in training because they're excellent for that. They're excellent for learning grip, stance, trigger press, moving, engaging multiple targets, mag changes, drills, and that kind of stuff. Now people will say, well, yeah, but the slide doesn't move. Okay, but yes, you can pantomime that. It doesn't have recoil. No, it doesn't. Okay, so this is, again, these are just excuses not to train, is what they are, okay? This is, I didn't get a college education because I didn't have enough money to go to Yale. It's the same argument, okay, only different. Train the way that you can train. Not everybody can go to shoot houses and train with the, with the SEALs. Not everybody can go to shoot houses and train with your local SWAT team. We have to figure out as citizens unique ways that we can train. Now the thing about this is these SIRT pistols is they fire a laser every time you press a trigger. So when we do this a night drill for you, once the sun goes down in just a minute or so, you'll see the laser hit the targets, and I'll be able to practice low light, and I'll show you how to use a flashlight going around corners and that kind of stuff, which you can say, well, I took a class 10 years ago to do that. Yeah, well, okay, those skills are now stale. You need to practice them periodically. So this is my AR, one of them, and this one has a Mantis Blackbeard system in it, which means the entire bolt carrier group has been replaced, and the magazine is the battery. It'll reset the trigger automatically. Maybe you can hear it. And all it does is fire a laser shot every time I press the trigger. So this gives me the ability to use my home defense rifle, particularly if it's an AR, and I can use that to practice going out here and doing what I got to do as well. So there are different ways to practice defensive shooting and learn your home. Then you can take advantage of home field advantage. A bad guy doesn't know your home like you do. So take the time to learn it. Now I realize not everybody will do this, and that's fine. Some people are dedicated to this and some people are not, and that's fine either way. I am. I would say to you what I say to my students and what I will say to my students tomorrow when I'm teaching the concealed carry course when I ask them how often they go to the range. And they'll say, well, I went 6 months ago, or I go once a year, or whatever. I typically will ask the students, did any of you take a martial art as a kid? And a whole bunch of hands will go up. Anybody taking a martial arts now? And hands will go up. How often do you go? 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 6 days a week, every day of the week, twice a week? And then I will look at them and go, is shooting a martial art? How often do you go practice? And there's silence in the room. If shooting is your martial art, that's the art you're going to use to defend yourself, then you need to practice. Whether it's live fire on the range or doing these kind of drills or whatever, find ways to practice. All right, let's do this at night. So why am I wearing a vest? In the times that I've done this in the backyard, I've realized that, first of all, I can very quickly get shot just coming out the door. So as I said, one of my first options would be stay in the house, call the police, let the police deal with it, and not do anything with it. If I have to come out, it's because I'm trying to protect a member of my family. Or if I have to come out, it's because the police aren't coming and somebody's going to burn my house down or whatever, and something's going to happen outside that is going to endanger my family inside. The only way I can deal with it is to go outside. So those, I think, are rare circumstances. They happen, supposedly, they haven't happened to me, but they could happen, and so I want to be prepared for that. So a few things right out of the gate. If I have time, I'm going to put this vest on because I do keep the vests handy where we can get to them quickly. And if you just open one side and that's it, everything else is adjusted for you. You're just opening the one side, taking it off, opening the one side, putting it back on again, and the vest pops right back on. You're good to go very, very quickly, very easily. So I do keep the vest handy. I'm going to take the vest with me as I go outside because, like I said, one, I've learned I can get shot coming out the door really, really easily, particularly if I make too much noise. And two, there's not a whole heck of a lot of cover in my backyard or in my front yard other than my truck or my car, and they're not close to the front door, and there's nothing in the backyard that's going to provide me cover. So I got to take something that will protect me with me in the hopes that if I get shot, they'll aim center mass as well, and this will protect me. I mean, nothing's 100%, but without it, I've got less protection than I do with it. Okay, the other thing I've learned is don't turn the light on until I get an idea of what I'm looking at, because if I shine a light everywhere, then all I'm doing is giving somebody a target to shoot at. Originally, I was taught the FBI method to search with a handheld light, and that's hold the light out here to search, because if they shoot, they'll typically shoot at the light. Well, and that'll either hit me in the hand and I ruin my left hand, or it's going to go past me. And then when I'm ready to fight, then I'm going to bring the light underneath my pistol in this fashion. It's called the Harry's method. I think it was invented by a Marine named Harry's, and it comes up underneath. It'll illuminate my sights and illuminate the target. So that's the first way I'll go through it. And all I'm going to do is come out the door that's behind the camera, which is the door from one of the bedrooms, and I'm going to come out this way and walk through here, and you'll see me walk through and engage each target, and you'll see the red laser hit the target. So I'll do it once with the handgun, and then I'll do it once with the rifle. All right, as I come off the porch here, because I don't want to be shouting, show me your hands, or any kind of like things like that, freaking out my neighbors, I'm going to come out as quietly as I can until I see somebody. And again, I've got a handgun and I've got a handheld light. So if I come out here, I'm going to be looking and listening as I go. I'll probably hug the shed over here, try to at least obtain some cover and see if I see anything that looks kind of frightening. And if I want to search, I might put my hand out like I did the FBI thing and look, wait a minute, there's a bad guy. And I might say, all right, drop it, drop it, drop it. And he's not going to drop it. Bang, 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 bang. I've got the guy over by the tree. Wait a minute, there's another one, and he's got a hostage. Let her go. Let her go. Boom, boom, boom. And what you're finding is that now I'm going to turn the light back off, because if there's any more, I don't want them to know where I am, which means I need to change positions. I'm going to move. I don't know what's around the corner here next to me. I don't see anybody over there. So I'm going to go back to my searchlight again, put it out away from me. I can see that guy's down. The other guy I think is down because I hit him in the head. He went down. I don't know if there's another one. Light off. I want to go around this corner, but as I do, I'm going to change hands, and I'm going to change my light. I'm going to go over here to the Harry's method, hand underneath to light up the corner as I go around the corner and look. Sure enough, there's a bad guy. Drop it, dude. Bang, 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 bang. Okay? And that's got all of my threats with the handgun. Now I'll go grab the rifle and we'll go through it again. Okay, now I'm staged up with the rifle. I'm going to go around the same way basically. But one thing I would want to do with my rifle first thing before I went out the door is remember to turn on my optic because otherwise I don't have a red dot on my rifle. If I don't turn on the optic, I can't see through it. So I'm going to come along here again. I'm not going to use my weapon light until I feel like I have got a little bit of cover, sort of. Something I can kind of get behind that might deflect around. And then I'm going to look briefly, perhaps, with the light and search. And if I don't see anything, I might move a little bit. Now, unfortunately, I've just let everybody know where I am. But if I spot a guy during my search, there he is. Drop it, dude. Bang, 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 bang. I got the same guy. Whoop, wait a minute, there's another one. Now I have to remember my offset, because if I don't want to hit the hostage, I have to remember that I'm using an AR. The optic is higher off the bore than the bore itself, which means I've got to aim close to the top of that guy's head in order to hit him in the head so I don't hit the hostage. And even aiming over the crown of his head, you can see how if I didn't pay attention to my offset, I would have hit the hostage, and that would have been no bueno. Now I got to go around this corner and I'm going to look. One way to do that is to lengthen my sling and bring the rifle over to the other side and go left-handed around the corner, because I want to make sure I don't extend more of myself around the corner than I have to. Drop it, dude. Drop it. So you can see this just gives you a chance to manipulate your weapons, figure out how you're going to do it, and practice using your tools in a more realistic setting where you have to move. So I'm of the opinion that anything that's going to give you a chance to practice real-world things is an advantage to you. And true, you don't get the sound of the rifle going off or the handgun going off. Certainly, you don't get the recoil. You're not. There's a lot of things that aren't part of this, but part of this, I think, is movement. How do I move? Where do I move? How do I use the light? Where do I use the light? When do I use the light? Am I announcing where I am every time I turn the light on? And perhaps I should not turn it on at that moment. Can I use my other senses? If I can't see, should I listen? Now, my hearing's not that great, so one of the first things I would want to put on before I went out the door is my hearing aids, so at least I could hear somebody rustling around. And if I had ear pro that I could grab really quick, that would preserve my hearing shot after shot, and I could crank them up really loud so I could hear the things around me. Not a perfect situation, but I'm an old guy, okay? But this is the stuff that you certainly want to think about. If you have to go around the corner of the other side, do you know how to make your sling longer and move the rifle over? Have you done that? Do you feel like you could do that and actually hit what you're shooting at? Are you in the habit of taking that light and actually identifying a threat rather than being frightened and shooting at whatever you see that moves? You might shoot somebody you don't wish to. So this is the kind of practice that helps you with movement, weapons manipulation, understanding your surroundings around your home, and what you might or might not have to move around, what might protect you, what might not, understanding your gear, whether it's armor, rifle, whatever, and understanding where those things fall apart. If you don't have a weapon-mounted light on your gun, do you have a light and do you know how to use it? That's a handheld light. Should you have a handheld light even if you have a weapons-mounted light so that you can search using the handheld light if you're using a handgun? This is all these questions that you really can't answer until you try it. And so I encourage you, get the tools and try it. It's not a terribly expensive proposition, to be honest with you. The laser tools are a little expensive, but the stupid target stands are like 3 for $40 or something. You know, I mean, they're cheap, and you get 1x2s and cut them to length, and the targets you can buy from Action Targets for $1.50. You know, get some cardboard and put those together. That's the easy part. The other tools are fairly inexpensive. But by the time you use them a little bit, it's 2 or 3 boxes of ammunition. And now you can practice a lot, and every time you press a trigger, you're just firing a laser. You still need to get to the range. You still need to have range practice. You still need to have live fire practice. But anymore, it's very hard to go to the range and do any of this kind of stuff. So just an idea for you. Thank you very much for all of your support of Practical Defense Systems. Come take a class with us. And thanks for watching the video. I hope you will like and subscribe.